At 0200 hours local time, a standard Russian military logistics train carrying thousands of tons of artillery shells and rocket propellant rolls through a quiet transit corridor in southern Ukraine, heading toward the Kerch Bridge. To the Russian Southern Command monitoring the network, everything appears perfectly normal on their dispatch screens. The electronic signature is correct, the scheduled timetable matches precisely, and the crew manifests checkout. But what the dispatchers do not realize is that the men driving this rolling bomb are not Russian soldiers, and the train itself has just become the most sophisticated Trojan horse in modern military history. This operation will not rely on a barrage of expensive cruise missiles or a massive drone swarm that air defenses can track and intercept. Instead, it relies on exploiting the very system the enemy trusts the most, turning a heavily guarded supply line into a weapon that will sever their most critical infrastructure. The planners knew that brute force would fail against the layered defenses of the bridge, so they chose a path of systemic infiltration. They mapped the blind spots, cloned the electronic identity of the train, and prepared to strike the bridge from the inside out, culminating in a devastating sequence of events that the Russian command is entirely blind to until the final catastrophic moment. The foundation of this audacious infiltration was built over 8 painstaking months of intelligence fusion. Ukrainian planners realized that modern defense systems, no matter how technologically advanced, possess a critical vulnerability in their predictable daily routines. They combined high-resolution satellite surveillance with deeply embedded human intelligence to map the entire logistical network supporting the bridge. Every shift change, every maintenance delay, and every radio check was recorded and analyzed. The breakthrough came when they recruited a low-level railway technician working deep inside the Russian supply chain. This individual was entirely invisible to the higher command structure, a minor gear in a massive bureaucratic machine. Yet he held the key to the physical railway switching system. By turning this single technician, Ukrainian operatives gained the ability to silently reroute a priority military transport onto a dormant sidetrack for exactly 4 minutes without triggering any network-wide alarms. This was the first major victory of the operation, proving that human vulnerability is far more potent than any firewall. With the switching schedule manipulated, the Special Forces team had their window to intercept the train, a margin of error so tight that a delay of 30 seconds would compromise the entire mission and alert the Regional Defense Command. When the multi-thousand-ton supply train diverted onto the shadowed siding, the Ukrainian Special Forces team executed their takeover with terrifying efficiency. They were dressed in exact replicas of Russian railway uniforms, carrying forged documents that matched the biometric profiles expected at the next major checkpoint. As the train slowed to a crawl, the operatives boarded the locomotive silently, neutralizing the original crew before a single distress signal could be transmitted over the radio. In less than 2 minutes, the train was entirely under Ukrainian control. But hijacking the physical train was only half the battle. They had to hijack its digital soul. Using custom-built transponders, the team cloned the train's electronic identifier, spoofing the automatic location system that reported back to the Russian dispatch center. Think of it like swapping the license plate and GPS tracker on a stolen armored truck while it is still driving down the highway. The central command screens continued to show a green light, indicating a secure, authorized transport moving at the expected velocity. This digital disguise allowed the heavily armed and explosive-laden transport to seamlessly merge back onto the main rail line, effectively vanishing in plain sight and transforming into an invisible threat barreling directly toward the most heavily defended bridge in the theater of war. The train accelerated back to its cruising speed of 80 kilometers per hour, carrying a payload that had been secretly augmented with specialized shaped charges. These explosives were not placed randomly. They were meticulously positioned adjacent to the existing cargo of high-explosive artillery shells, creating a daisy chain effect designed to amplify the blast exponentially. The operatives knew that a surface-level explosion would merely scorch the concrete, so they engineered the charges to direct the molten force downward, specifically targeting the structural weak points of the bridge supports. As the train crossed into the heavily monitored outer defense ring of the Kerch Bridge, the automated scanning systems swept the carriages. The Russian layered defense network is designed to detect incoming missiles and aircraft, utilizing radar that can track a fighter jet from 200 kilometers away. However, it completely ignores a train that its own internal computer network has already verified as friendly. The Ukrainian operatives held their breath as the checkpoint scanners logged their cloned transponder codes. The system blinked, verified the fake credentials, and raised the security barriers, They had successfully infiltrated the first layer of the fortress, relying not on stealth technology, but on the blind trust of a massive, inflexible military bureaucracy. As the train approached the final staging area before the bridge crossing, a sudden anomaly threatened to unravel the entire operation. A routine shift change at the checkpoint caused a secondary, manual verification check to be randomly initiated. A Russian security officer, reviewing the live camera feed of the locomotive cabin, noticed a minor discrepancy in the facial recognition scan of the lead engineer. The software flagged a 0.4% mismatch compared to the official database profile, a tiny margin that could easily be attributed to poor lighting or a dirty camera lens. The officer reached for his radio to halt the train and demand a physical inspection of the cabin. For 15 agonizing seconds, the fate of the mission hung in the balance. But institutional inertia and a strict adherence to maintaining strict supply timetables took over. Halting a priority munitions transport without absolute proof of a threat would require the officer to file extensive delay reports and face reprimand from his superiors. Choosing the path of least resistance, he dismissed the warning as a system glitch, logged the train as clear, and authorized its passage onto the bridge. This critical hesitation demonstrated how rigid hierarchical fear can override basic security protocols, granting the operatives their final clearance. The hijacked train rolls onto the massive steel and concrete span of the Kerch Bridge, moving at exactly 72 kilometers per hour. Beneath the heavy steel wheels, the bridge's automated structural health sensors constantly measure weight distribution and harmonic vibrations, searching for anomalies like overloading or structural stress. The Ukrainian engineers knew that the added mass of their shaped charges could trigger an automatic halt command if the weight imbalance was detected. To counter this, they had spent weeks calculating the exact weight of the displaced Russian crew and the discarded original equipment, ensuring their added explosives matched the removed mass down to the final kilogram. Think of it like replacing a bag of sand with a bag of gold of the exact same weight on a pressure plate. The trap remains completely blind to the switch. As the train clears the first set of sensors without triggering a single alarm, a new threat emerges. A heavily armed Russian military police patrol is cruising along the parallel highway span, moving at the exact same speed as the train. The patrol vehicle is equipped with advanced thermal imaging cameras designed to spot saboteurs clinging to the undersides of passing carriages. The operatives are now trapped in a parallel race, completely exposed if the thermal camera sweeps the locomotive cabin and detects the heat signatures of extra personnel. Inside the locomotive, the Ukrainian operatives execute a practiced evasion drill, as the military police vehicle illuminates the train with a high-intensity halogen spotlight. They drop into the pre-calculated thermal blind spots beneath the heavy metal control consoles, using the dense engine block of the train itself as a heat shield against the patrol's infrared sensors. The Russian guards scan the carriages, seeing nothing but the expected thermal bloom of the locomotive's massive diesel engines and the cold steel of the munitions cars. The camera registers zero anomalies. The patrol vehicle accelerates and pulls ahead, leaving the train to continue its deadly transit unchecked. This rapid evasion secures another critical victory, but the clock is now measured in single seconds. The train is approaching the central shipping channel, the apex of the bridge, and its most structurally vulnerable point. At this precise location, the bridge spans are longest, and the supporting pillars carry the maximum load stress. Destroying the bridge anywhere else would merely cause a surface pothole that could be patched in days. Hitting it at the apex ensures a catastrophic structural failure that will take months to repair. The team leader activates the master arming switch for the explosives. A solid green light confirms that all shaped charges are successfully linked. But now, they face the ultimate test of timing. They must initiate the blast exactly over the central pillar. At exactly 3.4 seconds before reaching the mathematical center of the bridge span, the operatives leap from the moving locomotive into the dark, freezing waters of the Kerch Strait below, trusting their extraction plan to save them. Left completely unmanned, the ghost train continues its forward momentum for another 120 meters. The GPS-linked detonators, pre-programmed to trigger its specific geospatial coordinates, reach their zero point. In a fraction of a millisecond, the shaped charges ignite. These are not standard blast explosives. They act like hyper-focused plasma blowtorches, slicing through the heavy steel floor of the train carriages and directing a superheated jet of molten copper directly into the concrete bridge supports. The initial blast instantly severs the primary load-bearing tension cables of the railway span. But the real devastation is secondary. The focused explosions act as a fuse for the thousands of tons of Russian artillery shells and rocket propellant, packed tightly inside the train cars. A secondary detonation erupts, a massive sympathetic explosion that generates a shock wave so powerful it visibly warps the air. The unimaginable downward force shatters the structural integrity of the central pillar. The concrete pulverizes, the steel rebar snaps under the immense pressure, and two entire sections of the heavy railway span detach completely, collapsing downward into the black water of the shipping channel. On the Russian command screens, the disaster unfolds not as a massive explosion, but as a silent, confusing technological glitch. The cloned transponder signal of the train simply blinks out of existence, immediately followed by hundreds of critical structural warning alerts flooding the dispatch center's monitors. For 2 agonizing minutes, the Russian commanders are completely paralyzed, unable to comprehend how a heavily guarded, internally verified friendly supply transport could suddenly vanish from their secure network while simultaneously triggering catastrophic failure alarms across the bridge infrastructure. They assume a massive system failure or a localized power outage, delaying the scramble of emergency response units. This critical delay was perfectly engineered by the Ukrainian planners. By using the enemy's own trusted supply vehicle as the weapon, they effectively weaponized the bureaucracy against itself. The air defense arrays worth billions of dollars pointing skyward to detect incoming missiles remained completely silent, entirely useless against a threat that arrived quietly on steel wheels from within their own secure borders. The bridge is broken, the primary logistics artery is severed, but the operation is still far from over. The extraction of the operatives and the neutralization of the inevitable Russian rapid response forces must now be executed flawlessly, or the entire tactical victory will be overshadowed by the loss of the elite infiltration team. As the operatives plunge into the freezing darkness of the Kerch Strait, the shock of the 2°C water threatens to instantly paralyze their muscles. They have exactly 60 seconds to reach their extraction coordinates before hypothermia destroys their motor functions and the heavy current drags them into the Black Sea. Above them, the burning bridge illuminates the water, and the Russian rapid response forces finally react. A heavily armed Kamov 52 attack helicopter scrambles from a nearby base, its thermal imaging cameras sweeping the water surface to hunt for survivors. A thermal camera can detect a human head bobbing in the waves from 5 kilometers away, making the operatives glowing targets in the dark ocean. But the Ukrainian team is prepared. They deploy experimental, thermally insulated submersible sleds that instantly mask their heat signatures beneath the cold surface water. As the helicopter roars directly overhead, its sensors scan the exact coordinates where the men are holding their breath. The screen shows nothing but the ambient temperature of the churning sea. The helicopter banks away, chasing phantom radar echoes, completely missing the extraction team silently gliding away beneath the waves. This narrow escape proves that anticipating the enemy's sensory technology is just as vital as evading their guns. The helicopter pilot, frustrated by the empty thermal scans, reorients toward a faint radar blip 3 kilometers south, assuming it is the Saboteur's escape vessel. He arms his 30mm autocannon, locking onto the coordinates, unaware that he is flying directly into a secondary trap. The Ukrainian extraction boat is not fleeing. It is a mobile launch platform for the next phase of the assault. A swarm of first-person view drones, carrying high-explosive anti-tank warheads, launches from the small vessel. The Russian helicopter detects the incoming threat and immediately activates its onboard electronic warfare jammers, expecting the commercial drone signals to drop out of the sky like dead weight. The jamming frequencies flood the airspace, strong enough to sever any standard radio control link within a 10-kilometer radius. But these drones do not rely on radio waves. They are tethered by micro-thin fiber-optic cables, unspooling kilometers of physical glass thread that makes them completely immune to electronic interference. The Russian pilot watches in disbelief as the drones punch right through the impenetrable jamming bubble. One drone cleanly strikes the tail rotor of the helicopter. The aircraft instantly loses anti-torque control, spinning violently before crashing into the strait, neutralizing the immediate aerial threat in a matter of seconds. With the immediate airspace temporarily cleared, the Russian Regional Command desperately attempts damage control, dispatching a highly specialized heavy-lift railway repair crane to clear the burning debris from the intact parallel tracks. This single piece of massive machinery is the only asset within 500 kilometers capable of shifting the derailed munitions cars and restoring partial logistical flow. The repair train rumbles toward the blast zone, escorted by 2 armored personnel carriers mounting heavy machine guns. If this crane begins clearing the wreckage, the Russian military could potentially reopen a single supply line within 48 hours, severely mitigating the strategic impact of the entire Ukrainian operation. But the fiber-optic drone operators have one final battery pack and one remaining warhead. They pilot the last drone low over the water, using the thick black smoke from the burning train as visual cover against the armored escorts. The heavy machine gunners scan the sky, completely missing the tiny plastic drone skimming just 2 meters above the waves. The operator pitches the drone sharply upward at the last second, driving the shaped charge directly into the hydraulic control manifold of the heavy lift crane. The explosion shatters the complex hydraulic system, instantly turning the multi-million-dollar repair asset into useless scrap metal and ensuring the bridge will remain paralyzed. As the extraction boat speeds away toward friendly shores, the true magnitude of the operation settles over the Russian high command. They are left staring at a severed logistical artery, a destroyed attack helicopter, and a paralyzed repair fleet, all achieved without a single conventional missile strike or a massive mechanized assault. The final payoff of this operation reveals a terrifying new paradigm in modern warfare. Advanced defense networks built of steel, radar, and billions of dollars are inherently fragile when their internal systems of trust are compromised. The Ukrainian planners did not defeat the Russian air defense systems. They simply rendered them irrelevant by exploiting bureaucratic predictability, human vulnerabilities, and digital identity manipulation. By embedding their explosives within a legitimate transport and cloning its electronic signature, they turned the enemy's most trusted supply vehicle into the very weapon that broke their fortress. This was not just a physical destruction of concrete and steel, it was a systemic hijacking of the Russian military's procedural architecture. The Kerch Bridge remains shattered, its burning spans serving as a colossal monument to the fact that the most dangerous threat to a heavily fortified system is often the one that possesses the right paperwork and the correct digital password.